Today, I'll share a personal story about a trip I took to Paris, a trip that changed my life and helped me break free from a challenging time. Listening to stories like this one is a wonderful way to improve your English. You'll not only work on your listening comprehension, but also expand your vocabulary and learn how to use phrases and expressions naturally. It's a great way to immerse yourself in the flow of the English language. And maybe, just maybe, this story will inspire you to take your own adventure someday. Now, sit back, relax, and join me as I take you through my life-changing experience in Paris. The beginning of the journey. A few years ago, I hit a creative wall. I'm a writer, and words have always been my escape, my way of expressing myself. But during that time, it felt like every sentence I tried to write was wrong, every idea uninspired. My confidence was at an all-time low, and I found myself questioning whether I was even meant to be a writer. The frustration was unbearable. But then, something unexpected happened. One night, while flipping through an old travel book, I stumbled across a section about Paris. There was a photo of the Eiffel Tower sparkling at night, and something about that image stirred something in me. Paris was a city I'd always dreamed of visiting, a place so full of history, art, and charm. Maybe it was a crazy idea, but I decided I needed to go there. I didn't overthink it. I just bought the ticket, packed a notebook, and boarded a flight. My hope was that Paris would help me rediscover my creative spark. When I arrived in Paris, the city was everything I had imagined and more. The streets had this poetic, timeless quality. Cobblestones, wrought iron balconies, the faint smell of freshly baked bread, wafting from boulangeries. It was magical. I remember standing on a bridge over the Seine River, the city unfolding in all directions, and thinking, this is exactly where I need to be. I decided I wouldn't plan my days too rigidly. Instead, I'd allow myself to wander and explore the city at my own pace. However, there were a few must-see spots I couldn't resist. On my very first day, I visited the Eiffel Tower. Seeing it up close for the first time was surreal. I stood beneath its intricate iron lattice, craning my neck to take it all in. Later, I took the elevator to the top. The view was breathtaking. Below me was a patchwork of rooftops, winding streets, and serene gardens. It felt like the whole of Paris was offering itself to me as a blank canvas, waiting for me to paint my experiences with words. One of the highlights of my trip was my visit to the Louvre Museum. Now, if you've never been to the Louvre, it's not just a museum, it's a world of its own. From the iconic glass pyramid entrance to the endless corridors filled with masterpieces, it overwhelmed my senses in the best way possible. I spent hours wandering through the galleries, marveling at works like the Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo. What struck me most weren't just the famous pieces, but the smaller, less-known works tucked away in quiet corners. These works reminded me that art doesn't have to be grand to be meaningful. I jotted down notes in my journal, capturing how the light played on a statue's surface and the emotions etched into paintings centuries old. It was the first time I had felt genuinely inspired in a long while. Afterward, I found myself at a small cafe nearby, sipping on a buttery cappuccino and flipping through my notes. It was there, on a tiny, wobbly table in the heart of Paris, that I wrote my first full paragraph in weeks. And you know what? It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. I still remember the excitement bubbling inside me as I made my way to the Eiffel Tower. It had been a lifelong dream of mine to see it in person. Walking along the Champ de Mars, a sprawling green park, I could feel the anticipation growing with each step. The air was alive with the chatter of tourists and the chirping of birds, and in the distance, faint notes from a street musician's accordion floated through the air. And then, there it was, the Eiffel Tower. Rising above the trees, its iron lattice structure seemed to touch the sky. At first, it didn't feel real. I had seen countless photos of it, but standing there in person was an entirely different experience. It was magnificent, larger and more intricate than I could have imagined. As I approached the base of the tower, its sheer size left me in awe. The metalwork was so detailed, hundreds, maybe thousands of rivets holding the structure together. It was like a giant piece of art, strong yet delicate. I noticed groups of people all around me, some posing for pictures, others simply gazing up in wonder. The hum of their conversations in various languages created a lively, multicultural atmosphere. The closer I got, the more I appreciated its beauty. The iron structure gleamed in the sunlight, and I couldn't help but try to capture every angle with my camera. I had always heard the Eiffel Tower was a symbol of love and dreams, and in that moment, I could truly feel its magic. Next, it was time to go up. I joined the queue and purchased my ticket. While waiting, I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nerves. I mean, this was the Eiffel Tower. Soon, I stepped into the elevator, which had glass walls, so you could see the tower's inner structure as it rose. The mechanics were fascinating, but my heart raced as the ground grew farther and farther away. The first stop was the second level. Stepping out onto the platform, I was greeted by an incredible view. Paris stretched out below me like a painting. I could see the Seine River winding through the city, the golden dome of Les Invalides glinting in the sun, and the rooftops of Paris, each with its own charm. The air was crisp, and the breeze hit my face as I leaned against the railing to take it all in. But the adventure wasn't over yet. I decided to go all the way to the top. When I finally reached the summit, the view took my breath away. It felt like I was on top of the world, standing above one of the most beautiful cities on Earth. From this height, Paris looked endless. I spotted landmarks like the Notre Dame Cathedral and Louvre Museum. The Seine glittered like a ribbon of silver, and the tiny dots of people and cars below reminded me of how vast and complex the city was. The atmosphere was electric. People around me were chatting, laughing, and pointing out landmarks. Some were recording videos, while others simply stood in awed silence, taking in the moment. The wind was stronger at the top, tugging at my hair, and the chill only added to the thrill. Looking out over Paris, I felt a profound sense of connection. This was a city with so much history, and being here, high above it all, made me feel like I was a part of something bigger, like I was connected to every artist, writer, and dreamer who had fallen in love with this place. Standing there, I couldn't help but think about how far I'd come, not just to reach Paris, but on my own personal journey. Visiting the Eiffel Tower wasn't just about seeing a famous monument. It was about proving to myself that dreams, no matter how big or small, are worth chasing. After I descended, I took one last look up at the tower. The sun was beginning to set, and the golden light made the iron structure glow against the deepening blue sky. I whispered a quiet thank you, not just to the Eiffel Tower, but to Paris for giving me this unforgettable experience. If you've never been to the Eiffel Tower, I hope someday you get the chance to see it. It's not just a destination, it's an experience that stays with you long after you've left. Over the next few days, I allowed myself to get lost in Paris. One day, I stumbled upon a hidden bookstore by the Seine called Les Pages Perdues, the Lost Pages. The owner, a kind elderly man named André, invited me in. Andre had this air of wisdom about him, like someone who had seen more of life than most. We struck up a conversation, and when I told him about my creative struggles, he simply smiled and said, "Sometimes you must stop chasing inspiration and simply live. It will find you when you least expect it." Andre showed me a corner of the shop full of leather-bound journals and handed me one. "For your words," he said. It felt like both a gift and a challenge. I promised myself I would fill that journal before I left Paris. Another memorable moment was meeting Amélie, a street artist I met near the Montmartre district. Amélie had a small makeshift studio where she created beautiful sketches of Parisian streets and characters. Watching her work was fascinating. I asked her how she found inspiration, and she said, "I stopped looking for perfection. Life, as it is enough." Her words stayed with me as I explored Montmartre's vibrant streets, where musicians played accordions and the scent of crepes drifted through the air. I even tried sketching a little in my journal. Nothing impressive, just some quick lines. It felt freeing to create something without overthinking. One afternoon, I sat on a park bench in the Jardin du Luxembourg, doing nothing but letting the world pass by. An elderly woman soon sat beside me, and before I knew it, we were deep in conversation. She introduced herself as Marguerite, and she had this quiet wisdom about her. I confided in her about my fears, about feeling like I was no longer good enough to write. She listened intently and then said something I'll never forget. "Writing isn't about being good or bad. It's about being honest. Be true to your voice, and the words will come. And remember, every artist has their critics. Their voices aren't louder or stronger than yours, they're just different." Something about her words broke through all the self-doubt I had been carrying. I realized I had been so afraid of failing that I had stopped allowing myself to try. That evening, I took my journal and sat by the Seine River as the city's lights reflected on the water. And for the first time in a long while, I wrote freely. I didn't pause to edit or second-guess myself. I wrote about the people I'd met, the art I'd seen, the streets I'd walked. The words flowed, and with them came a renewed sense of purpose. Over the rest of my trip, I continued to write, filling not just Andre's journal, but also my heart with a newfound confidence. By the time I boarded the plane to return home, I felt transformed. Paris hadn't just reignited my creativity. It had healed a part of me that I hadn't realized was broken. It reminded me to listen to my instincts, to trust my voice, and to keep creating. Looking back, my trip to Paris taught me that inspiration isn't something you find. It's something you create by opening yourself up to the world around you. The city itself was my teacher, and its lessons are ones I'll carry with me forever. Now, let's explore some useful phrases and vocabulary. These are words and expressions you can use when discussing travel or describing a memorable experience. Let's start with anticipation. Anticipation means the act of looking forward to something. Example: she waited in anticipation for the adventure to begin. Repeat after me. Anticipation. The next is adventure. Adventure is an unusual and exciting, typically hazardous experience or activity. Example: traveling alone to a new country was a thrilling adventure. Repeat after me. Adventure. Next word is breathtaking. Breathtaking means extremely impressive or beautiful. Example: the view from the mountain was breathtaking. Repeat after me. Breathtaking. Next one is surreal. Surreal means having the qualities of a dream. It's a great way to describe something that feels unreal or dreamlike. Example: seeing the same man again and again felt surreal. Repeat after me. Surreal. Next word is frustration. Frustration is the feeling of being upset or annoyed as a result of being unable to change or achieve something. For example, she felt a surge of frustration when she realized her backpack was unzipped. Repeat after me. Frustration. Next word is fascinating. Fascinating means extremely interesting or attractive. You might say, the cultural differences between her home country and California were fascinating. Repeat after me. Fascinating. Next word is incredible. Incredible means difficult to believe, extraordinary. Example, the view from the top of the mountain was incredible. Repeat after me. Incredible. Next word is flipping. Flipping means turning over quickly. Example, she was flipping through the pages of her journal. Repeat after me, flipping. Next word is stirred. Stirred means to move or cause to move slightly. Example, the memory stirred a feeling of nostalgia. Repeat after me. Stirred. Next word is jotted down. Jotted down means to write something quickly. Example, she jotted down her thoughts in her journal. Repeat after me. Jotted down. Next word is stumbled. Stumbled means to trip or momentarily lose one's balance, almost fall. For example, she stumbled out of the restroom, still flustered from the encounter. Repeat after me. Stumbled. Next word is rigidly. Rigidly means stiff or unyielding, not flexible. Example, she stood rigidly, trying to maintain her composure. Repeat after me. Rigidly. Next word is imagined. Imagined means to form a mental image or concept of. Example, she imagined what the adventure would be like. Repeat after me. Imagined. Next word is blank canvas. Blank canvas means something that is empty and ready to be filled. Example, the new city was a blank canvas, full of possibilities. Repeat after me. Blank canvas. Next word is corridor. Corridor means a long passage in a building from which doors lead into rooms. Example, she walked down the corridor to her room. Repeat after me. Corridor. Next word is queue. Queue means a line or sequence of people or vehicles awaiting their turn to be attended to or to proceed. Example, they stood in a long queue for the elevator. Repeat after me. Queue. Let's practice these words together one more time. Repeat after me. Anticipation. Adventure. Breathtaking. Surreal. Frustration. Incredible. Flipping. Stirred. Jotted down. Stumbled. Rigidly. Imagined. Blank canvas. Corridor. Queue. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Remember, you can review this section as many times as you like. The more you repeat these words, the more natural they'll become in your everyday speech. Keep practicing, stay curious, and embrace every opportunity to learn. See you in the next video.